Well, good evening, everybody. We are 2 weeks out from our car rental with Alamo, and we want to do a review of them. As you know, we did a review last year about this time for Avis car rental. Now, that was quite a review. In fact, a few people have commented that was their favorite review we've ever done. I don't know why it would be, but it was probably one of the worst ones we've ever had to do about any car rental company. In fact, I wanted to see if Avis had benefited from not only our review, but the many other reviews that are on YouTube saying basically the same thing we said. So before we got on here tonight, literally 10 minutes ago, I checked their Facebook page, and they haven't learned a thing, obviously. They still continue to disappoint at a level that only Avis can. So we decided this year, this was our first rental when we just went to Florida, Anna Maria Island. We rented a vehicle. And this was our first car rental since Avis, so we were a little nervous, as anybody would be after renting with Avis. In fact, let me just say this. I don't know if I said this in the last review, but if you are considering, and let me just say something right here. I want to insert something. We've actually had people tell us because of that review they were going to go with Avis and decided not to. And I'm glad for that. I'm happy to cost that company business for the way they treat customers, not just us, but pretty much every customer they have. I'm very happy if I can put our experience out there and someone cancels their reservation with that company. So here will be my advice if you're thinking about going with Avis. If your only two options are Avis and you hear a voice in a dark alley saying, "Psst, come here, you want to rent a car?" I'd trust the guy in the alley. You're probably going to come out a lot better than you will if you go with Avis. So that being said, this is not about Avis tonight. This is about Alamo. This was our first rental of a vehicle since Avis. So no way we were going with them again. I said we wouldn't, and we don't plan to. But we were still a little nervous because it's like, okay, have they all started doing business like that? So this time we did a rental with Alamo Car Rental. It was a similar situation as our review from Avis in that we picked it up at one airport and returned it to another airport. And this time we picked it up at the McGee-Tyson Airport in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we returned it to the airport that's closest to us, Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, when we rented from Avis last year, we had a Mitsubishi Outlander, and it was, let's see, I want to say we traveled 2,774 miles, unlimited mileage, but we had it for 8 days. 8 days, we paid a rate of $559.03, and that was only because Avis had already made one mistake and gave us 3 free days off of our rental. So we ended up getting an 8-day rental there for $559.03. This vehicle we kept 9 days for $429.77. We had a bigger vehicle this time. We had a Toyota 4Runner, much more roomy than the Outlander that we had, and kept it an extra day and paid far less. Okay, here is a copy of the rental agreement. If you will notice down in the lower left corner, it shows that I got it with a full tank of gas and brought it back with a full tank, as I always do. They got that part correct. Also, if you look in the right-hand column, it shows that I picked it up on December 24th and returned it to Charlotte. Picked it up at Knoxville, returned it to Charlotte Monday, January 2nd. I was actually about an hour, a little bit, almost 2 hours early returning it. And notice they charged me for the weekly rate. It was $265.34, which is not bad at all for unlimited mileage for a week. The 4Runner only had 17,561 miles on it when I got it. After all the fees plus the 2 extra days, it came to $429.67. So we did have unlimited mileage this time as well. So what we want to do tonight is give a review of Alamo Car Rental and tell you our experience there. Now, last time we did a car rental review, she was sick and didn't say much. You're feeling good tonight, so why don't you go ahead and start off and give your thoughts about the vehicle that we rented and what you thought.
So just the vehicle itself, it was a 4Runner. It was very nice. I'm trying to remember even what the make or not make edition of it was. Was it a TRX or TRD? It had the big, nice mud wheel like things on it, so that was nice. I think it had pretty much all the options on it. It had a sunroof, which I really liked too, being in Florida.
Yeah, she kept opening the thing up.
I like that. It was very roomy. It was very comfortable to drive. Had heated seats. The vehicle itself was very nice, so I enjoyed that. got us where we were going comfortably.
Yeah, it performed well, just like the Outlander that we rented from Avis. Neither vehicle performed poorly. I don't have a complaint about either
Yeah.
vehicle in itself, but this one was roomier. We had it for a longer period of time and paid less for it. So,
And it was clean when we got it. This one was clean.
well, the one we got from Avis was clean when we got it.
It
too.
was. It had a little bit of a
Yeah.
stench to it, but this one here even had like Clorox wipes in it.
I'm going to be
extra.
making some comparisons back and forth, even though this is an Alamo review. I just want to do some parallels. This shouldn't be as long of a review because I don't have fraudulent charges to show you, and I don't have a letter to show you claiming we had smoked in the vehicle. I'm very thankful for that. Last time, if you'll remember, there was 3 charges that I disputed, and I won all 3 cases. I don't know why it is. People don't tend to like to deal with me on the phone. I don't know why. I'm generally pretty easygoing, but I tend to get things that I don't think are fair. I tend to be able to get them dropped, and I was able to get all 3 dropped, and there was no way I was paying that $450 fee they tried to charge us for smoking because we don't smoke. So thankfully, I don't have any of that from Alamo to report. We actually waited 2 weeks after we turned the vehicle in just to make sure nothing started showing up. That's how long we waited before we did the Avis review, was 2 weeks. By that time, 3 charges had shown up that were not valid. So we wanted to wait. We turned the vehicle in January 2nd. That was 2 weeks ago today, to the day. So I'm happy to report that it was a pretty smooth experience. Now, I want to say that it did not start off well. It started off with a little bit of a hiccup. She dropped me off at the McGee-Tyson Airport. Now, if you have a memory about weather, you will remember that December 24th was a brutally cold day here in the South. There had been a polar vortex that had come down, and temperatures were in the single digits. So when she dropped me off at the McGee-Tyson Airport on Christmas Eve, about 11, maybe 11:30ish or so, she stayed out in the car. And I went inside and did all of the work and getting the vehicle. And when she dropped me off, it was 7 degrees. That was the outside temperature, 7 degrees. So once I got everything done at the desk there that I needed to do, the guy told me, he says, now if you'll walk, he showed me where to walk, and says if you'll walk down, you'll have to walk across the road, and under the parking garage, he says just go up to the Enterprise. I did not realize that Enterprise, Alamo, and I think National are all owned. I think they're all owned by Enterprise. So I didn't know that till I got there. So he told me to go up to the Enterprise booth in the parking garage. He says they'll take care of you. So I went in there. Now, like I said, it was 7 degrees outside in the sun. The parking garage was not in the sun. If it was 0, it would be, it felt like it was about 0, and there was actually wind whipping through there. So I did what he said. I went to the Enterprise booth, and there wasn't anybody in it. So I stood out there for about 10 minutes thinking, surely they'll be back. I stood out there for 10 minutes, honestly freezing to death. And because I thought it was just going to be an easy experience, go get in the car and heat it up and then go on. But nobody ever came to the booth. So I walked back in there, walked to the desk, and the guy looks at me. I said, there ain't nobody up there, in there. There's nobody at the booth. So he got on the phone with somebody, and next thing I know, a girl comes up. And I'm back inside the airport now where it's warm. And a girl comes up and says, come with me, and I'll get you straightened out. So I do that, and she goes to the booth, and she hands me the keys to a vehicle. I honestly don't even remember what the make of it was. It may be on the video I'm about to insert here in a moment. But it was a white vehicle, and the first thing I noticed, there had been a little bit of snow the day before too. When that cold air came in, it had snowed a little bit. The first thing I noticed about this vehicle that she was going to give me was it was filthy. It had the salt all over it and had not been washed at all. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm in a hurry to get this. We still got to drive home tonight, pack, and then get ready to head to Florida in the morning. So I figured I could just run it through a car wash or wash it or something. I didn't really want to be out washing the car and it's 7 degrees, but you know, I was just wanting to get one. So then when I start to go over and get in the car, I look inside, and in the middle console between the 2 seats, there's 2 Wendy's drink cups still left in there from the previous guests. They hadn't even cleaned the thing out. So that didn't start off well. So I'm sitting here thinking, and honestly, I think the Avis experience was still on my shoulder a little bit. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this is not going well. So I went up to the lady. I said, listen, I said, this vehicle has not been cleaned. It has not been sanitized. Do you all really expect me to take this? So she says, oh, I'm sorry. She said something about getting the keys switched. I don't know. She says, we're going to put you in a Toyota 4Runner. I said, is it clean? And she said, yes, we'll make sure it's clean. So I stood out there probably another good 10, maybe 15 minutes, and you were waiting on me in your car. Mm-hmm. And so finally, here it comes. So I look it over, and let me go ahead and give you some advice. When you rent a car, take your phone or your camera and go over it yourself before you touch it, before you get in it. And if there's a nick on it or a scratch, you make them acknowledge that that was already there. And that's any company you rent from. Make sure that they acknowledge that this was there, that you didn't put it there. So my motto after Avis is trust no one. Okay, so I went over the 4Runner. It was satisfactory. I looked inside of it. It was satisfactory, so we did. So at this point, I'm going to insert a clip of the first vehicle that Alamo tried to give us. Okay, just going to go around the rental vehicle here from Alamo in Knoxville. And it's filthy. It's got salt all over it, but just looking for any cosmetic defects that are already on it. And under there. Right here. There are several. So that's what you get for a cheaper vehicle. As it runs, we'll clean it up. Get the windshield, make sure, again, this thing's filthy. A lot of it's just dirt and salt, but there are some cosmetic defects, which is fine. I just want to document that they're already on here. And we got this down here. It's hard to see, but it's on the driver's side door, below the handle. I guess that's just, yeah, it's just dirt. And back here, I don't know what that is. It's on all over the door. It may not. Okay, I think that covers it. Yeah, you can't make that up. Okay, so that's the first vehicle right there. Once we got in the 4Runner, it was full of gas when I picked it up. There was no smell of anything in there. It seemed like it was reasonably clean. So we drove it home, and then we packed it up, left the next morning to go on our trip to Florida, and it did well the whole trip. It was a gas guzzler. It did not get good gas mileage, but you know, I knew it probably wouldn't. So I did kind of like those tires. I mean, we could have driven in anything with that vehicle, honestly. But you know, we headed south for Florida the whole week, and honestly, it was a pretty seamless experience. Mm-hmm. You have anything you want to add here?
No, it was good.
Okay.
It really was.
So we got it back home. We got back home when? New Year's night, I think. And the next day was Monday. We were both off work still. We didn't have to go back to Tuesday. So we took the vehicle back to Charlotte. And so I was going to be watching for the three things that Avis tried to pull. If you'll remember, Avis tried to claim we didn't bring it back full of gas and tried to charge us, I don't even remember now. I want to say it was over $20 just to top it off. They claimed it was 7/8 full. It was not. We had filled it up about 6 miles from the Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport and returned it. So they did remove that charge, but they did attempt that. So I'm thinking, okay, is Alamo going to do that? We filled this one up with gas about, I'm going to say about 4 miles from the airport, so a little bit closer. I checked it in. Apparently they have a way of telling the gas. As the guy looked at it, says that you're good to go. Your balance is 0. So I said, okay, that sounds good. But then I wanted to wait 2 weeks. Well, nothing has come up. They have not tried to claim we didn't bring it back full, which I've done every time I've ever rented a vehicle because I know you're supposed to do that. They did not try to charge us an e-toll. Now, in fairness, the only toll road we did go over in Florida was the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, and we actually paid the toll right there before you crossed the bridge. I still like doing it the old-time way, rather than getting something in the mail and then a rental car company charging you a fee to pay it for you.
Convenience fee.
Yeah, it was pretty convenient for me just to hand the lady the money, you know, and say have a nice day. That was convenient for me. So, we were able to not have that charge added. And then when I got home, I wanted to make sure they didn't try to claim we smoked in the, because I promise y'all we ain't never smoked. And not a word. They didn't try to do that at all. Now, we actually did vacuum this one out. We did not buy carpet shampoo this time because we didn't need to. The other time we had gotten so much grit and stuff in the carpet, we did. This time we didn't buy any extra cleaners, so that probably worked in our favor too. We buy that 409 carpet shampoo at Walmart. To me, it don't smell a thing like a cigarette, but apparently to Avis it did. But anyway, no problems. So what I would say is this: when renting a vehicle,
Remember the Alamo.
all right, have a good night.